consider is under control, and we can never speculate on what's going to happen next. That's one thing I've understood in this job, is that you never know. You think it's quiet, you think there's nothing going on. Next thing you know, there's something new comes up, and it's just whole new story.
Isabelle Jacques is a wildfire information officer. A huge part of her job is dealing with the media during times of crisis. The nature of her job is all about responding appropriately to the unknown, the unexpected. And while Jacques can't predict where the next fire may rage out of control, she can prepare how she handles a media onslaught during a crisis, and so can you.
Every company today needs to have a crisis communications plan.
The reputation of your company is on the table.
During a crisis, everything you say as a spokesperson is magnified. Get it wrong and you could mortally wound your company. Get it right and your company will live to see another day. Successful outcomes begin long before a crisis erupts. It starts first from the premise that life is unpredictable. People make mistakes, accidents happen, products fail, planes fall out of the sky, and at times people die. Every organization needs to consider these types of possibilities and prepare by developing a crisis management plan.
Well, a crisis communications plan goes into effect when something out of the ordinary really impacts your business. And it does so in such a way that you have to drop everything that you're doing on a day-to-day basis and deal with the crisis and deal with it right now.
I think that as the leader of any particular project, the manager of a corporation who has to deal with a crisis, is the person who's got to stay focused on that strategic objective while he may have others head down, maybe getting lost in the details of this, but always brought back to the strategic level in the plan so that your actions and your messages match throughout the entire time frame you're working this.
It needs to be extremely practical. It's not the place for theory. Plans used to have lots of theory in them. Really, they should be checklists of activities and an understanding of how to group people for maximum effectiveness and how to move quickly.
There are a number of steps you can take in advance to ensure you can act quickly. It begins with assembling a team of experienced, clear thinkers who work well together. Your team then needs to conduct a crisis management and crisis communication audit of the crisis management systems you already have in place.
Well, part of a plan and an audit really helps you understand where information flows. So does it go into consumer response, and what alerts them to alert the CEO, for example? How fast does it go from going to a consumer hotline to corporate affairs, then to the CEO, for example. So that is part of an audit, to understand that flow of information. Or if you're a retail organization, does it get stuck at a certain level? Does it move all the way up quickly? And depending on the types of crises, a lot of the materials we pre-write so you can move quickly, whether it's messaging, letters, press releases, and so on.
While every situation is going to be different, there are some core messages related to your company that can help to establish a baseline of information that your team has deemed important. Pre-writing and pre-planning in anticipation of potential crises are often a crucial aspect of successfully negotiating or even being able to avoid crisis situations.
What I can say, I think, that's really important is getting out and communicating ahead of a crisis. In other words, when it's just an issue and it hasn't reached a crisis stage, is very important. Pre-communications, if you want to call it that. Communicating, getting messaging out there, getting information, in a sense, setting the base prior to an issue or a crisis is very important, and particularly in a crisis management situation or in a labor relations issue. And it serves you very well.
When a full-bore crisis hits, time is of the essence. The longer you wait, the less chance you have of dealing with facts rather than perception. Bill Clinton, in his book My Life, points out that waiting to respond allows incorrect information to lodge itself into the mind of the public. The longer you wait to respond, the less likely you are to be believed.
Well, damage control 101 is always the same, and it's amazing how few people understand it. You've got to deal with things decisively. You have to know your facts, and you have to get them all out. And the idea is that even if it's bad news, get it all out front. Don't let it dribble out. Don't let it come out day after day after day. It's like a Chinese water torture situation. You want to marshal all the facts as quickly as humanly possible, and then get it all out so that nobody can say you're hiding. Your cover-up is always worse than, almost always worse than whatever has happened. And I think that's really a key part that's continually missed by so many different people involved in communications when they have a crisis.
The whole thing is to move quickly, not to overthink it, but to understand what to do. It's not about sitting in a boardroom gathering information and thinking that you have time to do that. Even spending a couple of hours doing that is too much time. So really, it's the ability to make decisions and communicate quickly, and then hopefully also to make the right decisions.
Social media now ups the ante in terms of the speed with which information can be conveyed.